All right, here we go. Hey guys, Eric Bilodeau here, and I guess welcome to. I don't really want to say the first episode because I don't know where this is gonna go, but I guess welcome to the recording, the video, I guess. I'm just kind of doing this for just wanted to talk a little bit about I guess my journey, you could say, from kind of where I started, my hockey journey, I guess I should say. So kind of like where I started to where I am now a bit, and kind of the, I guess, hurdles, you could say, that I've had to go through, mentally, and I'm kind of doing this. I don't really know if I'm not really doing this to get anything out of it. Like it's more of a almost for younger goalies or younger hockey players or just people in general to just kind of see, like, maybe if there were questions or things that they were thinking about that they didn't feel quite comfortable talking about. Maybe people could listen to this and hear this and relate to some of the stuff that I kind of gone through. And right, like, so for everyone who knows me, like, I've been playing hockey for so long. Like, I've been playing hockey for, I think this year is my 11th year, I think. It's 11th or 12th year. All as I've always been a goalie. It's what I love to do. It's what I've loved to do for so long. It's ever since I was little, like, I've always wanted to play in the NHL and be like the players that I've watched, like Sidney Crosby, even though he's not a goalie, but I've just grown up watching him and grown up watching, like Marc-Andre Fleury, who's my favorite goalie and favorite player in the league. Just like watching them from such a young age, I wanted to do what they do. They're kind of my reasoning, or they're kind of my inspiration for starting. But yeah, like I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, like I said, my journey, or my, from start to where I am now, kind of, and what I've done, what I've kind of gone through, and see if maybe I could help people, if anyone listening is, like I said, has any questions or thoughts that they don't feel quite comfortable talking about, then maybe you guys could relate. So I started playing hockey, I think I was in second grade. I was just about to turn 8 years old. I remember the first time that I ever stepped on the ice in goalie gear was just before my 8th birthday. So I was this little 7-year-old kid stepping on the ice, and I knew right away, like, even though I wasn't good, obviously, or even though I didn't really know what I was doing, I was just kind of sitting around there and kind of skating around, just trying to make sure the puck didn't go in the net. I knew right away that I loved it, and that's always kind of stuck with me, like that love for the game. I knew right away, like, I love what I'm doing right now. I didn't want to come off the ice. I remember that. And that year, that would have been, I started a bit later than most kids or most goalies. So like, the season started and I was 8 years old. So I was kind of switching between playing goalie and player, I remember, but I always loved being the goalie, like, and I was better at it, I guess you could say. Even though I guess that should tell you, I guess, how bad I was as a player, because I wasn't. It's my first year goaltending, and I already knew that I was better at that than being a player. So, yeah. So, I played my first year novice, which was actually my only year novice, because like I said, I started a bit later. So I just played house league. Just didn't really take it too seriously. Just got on the ice and messed around and had fun, and it was really. I'm happy I stuck with it. I'll tell you that. I'm very, very happy I stuck with it, and like, it felt like every time. Excuse me. It felt like every time that I stepped on the ice, I knew that I wanted to go right back on. And just the organization that we had, the Shabukto Atlantic Minor Hockey Association. We were the smallest one of all, and we're still, I think, the smallest one of all the 7 or 8 or 9 organizations that we had. And maybe there's more now, but being just this little kid, as a little goalie in the net, and as the years kind of went by, like I realized how little we were as an organization compared to the big ones like Halifax or Bedford or Tassa or stuff like that. So anyway, I loved it. I loved playing it. I loved. I remember making my first glove save. Like, that was such a huge thing for me. Like, I remember it was a game that we had lost, we had won, sorry, 13-0 against. It was like a exhibition game against these. I don't really remember. It might have been actually an all-girls team just for fun. And I remember I made a glove save, and I was absolutely ecstatic. Like, I caught the puck for the first time, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I can't believe I just did that. Like, what the heck is going on? So that was pretty cool. I remember that pretty vividly. But anyway, so that year happened, and then my second year, I went up into Adam. So in Adam, I actually made. It was actually my first year trying out for competitive, and I made B. I made Adam B. So I was pretty pumped about that. But I remember just, that was the first year again, like, competitive. So, we didn't have the, we had like the real jerseys. Like, I remember, like, in house, like, you just had like the mesh kind of jerseys, and I know like a lot of people here know what I'm talking about. Maybe if they played when they were younger in house, like the mesh jerseys I'm talking about. So we had to wear it novice. So I was pretty excited to wear the real jerseys, I guess you could say. So, again, like, even though it was competitive, like, I was obviously more competitive, but I still loved it. I still loved every second of it, and I was having a great time, and it was awesome. And I think it was that year, or it might have been the year after, actually. I'm not quite sure, but it was definitely one of those 2 years that I had started to go to goalie camps. And goalie clinics and sessions with Brad McCharles of Empire Goaltending. Back then, I think it was Outlaw Goaltending. And like, I still go to Brad sessions today, so that should tell you like how I kind of stuck with it and how I loved it and stuff. But it wasn't always. I didn't always love going to those clinics. I love. I'm sure as all the young kids, kind of in the same way as like, or they all kind of feel the same way as like when you're younger, like, you just want to play. You just want to play a game. You just want to stop the puck and make a cool save and stuff and put on the gear and whatever. But when you were that young and you were put into camps and actually like had to make the saves like right and like practice your positioning and stuff, it wasn't as fun, and it felt like a chore, and you didn't. It took the fun out of it, and you were like, why am I doing it? Or at least I felt like, why am I doing this? Like, whatever. So I'm pretty happy that feeling didn't last very long of why am I being here, right? So that kind of lasted maybe a year and a half. I guess my 2 years of Adam. Excuse me. But I remember playing Adam B, and then the next year I played Adam A with still with Shabukto. Like, I was with Shabukto my whole life, right? So played Adam B, played Adam A. It was great. So up into Pee Wee, By this time, I was in grade 5. My first year Pee Wee, I made B. So that was a great year. But that was also that was the year that I had gotten my first concussion. I say first because I've had 2, and the second one wasn't as bad. That was later on. But remember that year, Pee Wee B, I got in a concussion in a game, and I remember vividly exactly what happened. Like, it's not like anyone rammed me or anything, like on purpose, I should say. Like, it was just kind of a rush play towards the net, and I went to go kind of lunge out to cover the puck, and they were skating hard, and their knee caught the side of my head. And I remember just like feeling so, like, I never felt pain like that in my head. It wasn't so much pain like if you get a punch or if you get a scrape or something. Like, it was just like a pain in my head. And anyone who's had a concussion, I'm sure, can relate. Just like, for me, I remember it being just throbbing. Like, it hurt my brain so bad, and obviously that's what a concussion is. Sorry. But yeah, like, I remember just leaving the rink, or leaving the ice, and I think it was one of my teammates, his mom was a doctor, and she was looking at me, and she was checking my eyes and stuff, and she was asking me questions, and I remember she just said, like, oh, so you have a concussion. And by the way, I want to say I'll probably be coughing so much in this because my mouth is just, it's dry. So, be prepared. But whatever. Oh, man. Okay. But anyway. So, so she told me, like, I have a concussion. So I'm like, well, at the time, I didn't really know much of what that meant. I just knew that my head hurt, and I felt kind of woozy. Anyway, so that's, it went, I guess the recovery, I guess you could say, like, I wasn't out for that long. I think it was about three weeks to a month that I was not playing. And, I just remember coming back, I didn't feel, or maybe it was the year after, that I just, yes, it was the year after. So I'd finished that year. I felt fine. Like, we didn't do well, obviously. Like, Shabakto, we had rarely done well. We were always kind of like the worst team in the league. Funny enough, that changed the next year in Pee Wee AA. I made AA for the first time, so I was pretty pumped. Excuse me. I made AA in Pee Wee, and I was in grade 6, and I remember just that year, like, we had such a good team. And it was so different. Like, that was the year that was the best team I've ever had, was that Pee Wee AA team. Like, we had so many good guys on that team. I think the first half of the year, like, we hadn't even lost. Like, I think we tied one time and we won like 13 games. Like, something ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I keep coughing. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to get water. I'm really sorry, guys. But yeah, we were unreal. Like, I remember that year, we were absolutely unreal, and it was so fun coming to the rink. Like, it was different. Like, it was like, wow, like, I actually am on a team that wins. Like, it's not like we're going in every game and it's like, okay, like, how much are we gonna get blown out? Like, let's try not to get blown out this game. It's like, no, like, let's win, right? Oh my gosh, I'm really, like, embarrassed at how much I'm coughing right now. I'm actually having to pause this. All right, so just had to take a quick little water break there, I guess. Yeah, so as I was saying, like, we were the best team in the league. We were absolutely unreal. That was kind of the first year that, it was the second year, but it was the first year I really felt like, okay, I gotta up my game, right? Because we, like this was the second year that we started to play full games as goalies, right? Like before, and I haven't mentioned this, sorry for not mentioning this, but from novice to like from novice and Adam, the goalies would play half and half, right? So like one goalie would go in and then half the game, and then the other goalie would go and finish the game. So in Pee Wee, and started in B, we would play full games, right? But now, so Pee Wee B, like we did that. That's when I got my concussion, whatever. So anyway, so that was done. Pee Wee Double A, same thing. Like each goalie would play a game, right? Full game, and that's really the first year that I felt like, all right, I really have to up my game. I have like when I'm in the net, like I'm in the net the whole game. I have to show that, I'm good enough to play here. Like because the other goalie on my team, it was Adam Fisher, and I remember him, like he was crazy. Like he was, you said his name, like everyone knew that he was like the goalie, right, in our organization, right? Like Adam Fisher was crazy, and I mean he's still awesome. Like I watch him play and I'm like, Adam, geez, boy, like he's so calm in net. Anyway, he was my goalie partner, and he was great, and so I really felt like, it was some healthy competition. Like I was like, I gotta show that, I am good enough to play here, and constantly, and every game. Like I really wanted to show that. So, and I think, I don't know why, but I think it was actually that year that I started to doubt myself, not only because, I didn't feel as good or whatever, but also because I started to get real scared about, getting another concussion or hurting myself, to the point where maybe I wouldn't even be able to play anymore. Or not only that, but not being able to play, but also not being able to do other sports or participate in gym class or stuff like that. So that was that year, actually. I think it was near Christmas. I don't really remember when exactly, but I had considered quitting hockey. I was like, do I really want to keep this going, or do I want to always play in fear? Because I'm afraid to get hit in the head again, or whether it be with a body or with a puck to the head, because that was kind of the age where guys really started to shoot the puck harder, and especially on the team that we had, like we were really, really good. So I was like, man, should I keep going with this anyway? So I did, and we ended up actually winning provincials that year, which was awesome. That was super, super fun. Like to this day, like that's one of my most favorite, just like years for sure, but like memories, even though I wasn't in net for the final game, just like the feeling of winning provincials and just like, oh my gosh, like we, especially coming from like the 4 or 5 years that I'd played before, like we were so bad, right? Like my team was always the worst team in the league. So you go from like being the worst in the league 4 years in a row in like 4 different age groups, and then here you are, like you're at your provincial champion. So that was awesome. That was so fun. So that year was kind of the last year, or I shouldn't say that year was the last. I should say the next year after that, in grade 7, I made band and B, and that's when I'm actually getting like chills talking about it. That's when the mental health started, or the mental health problem, I should say, the hurdles that I had mentioned, and I think it didn't all start in hockey, but it started at school. And I knew in that year that something wasn't right. Um, and it's not stuff that I wanted to really talk about or even knew how to talk about it or what, like, I didn't understand really, but I knew that I didn't feel right, and I lost confidence in myself, in not only in hockey but in being a human being. I lost confidence. I didn't know what was going on, and I just didn't, something wasn't right. I knew that. So I guess this is where getting into the mental health kind of starts, and that's a long thing. Like, I could have a far longer discussion just talking about that, but I'll talk about it a little bit and just go over it and whatever. So that year, team was all right. Like, we won some games, awesome games. Like, I was still having a good time at the rink, but being at the rink, and again, like, it started in 7th grade, and it's gone up to even now. Like, I've learned how to manage it a bit better and stuff, and whatever. But that year was definitely the start of me not only enjoying being at the rink because I love playing hockey, but enjoying being at the rink because it's where I felt the most myself, right? And I say that because at school, like, I found myself always trying to be, and it sounds cliche, but I found myself always trying to be someone that I'm not, at school. And like I said, like, that started in grade 7, and that went on all through until I just graduated this year. Like, I never ever felt comfortable with just who I really felt like I was, with kids my own age. I always felt like I was better talking with adults, or talking with, obviously, with your family you feel comfortable, but just talking to people, like, say, like, my brother's age, just because I was so used to talking with him, he's 4 years older than me. And so yeah, so I just remember that year being just a weird year. Like, it wasn't so much, I don't want to say so much as depression or anything, but I knew that something wasn't right. So that kind of went on for that year, and then the next year, that was grade 8, and I had made, I think, Bantam AA that year, and those 2 years, like, those, my Bantam years were, I was really using, like, how do I word this? Like I said, like, I was using the rink as kind of a getaway, right? But I didn't realize how important it was until I really got into high school. So grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, I didn't feel right. It didn't feel really comfortable and stuff like that. But it wasn't until grade 10, which was actually my second year of midget, in grade 10. Grade 9 was my first year because I have a weird birthday. So I actually played grade 9 midget A, grade 10 midget AA, and then grade 11, grade 12, I played high school both years. But we'll get into that a bit later. So grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, use the rink as a getaway. And just because I just didn't feel quite comfortable with kids my own age, the kids I went to school with. I always felt like I was trying to be someone who I'm not, or be someone that I'm not. So then you get to grade 10, and it kind of, that year was rough in the sense that I didn't feel very comfortable at school, and I didn't really feel comfortable at the rink. Um, that was tough. That was actually my last year playing with the Shabakta organization, because the next 2 years after that I played high school. Um, so I never really felt like, or that year in particular, I didn't really feel comfortable with the guys around me, right? Like, not that they were bad guys or anything, for sure. Like, they were awesome, I remember. I just had to take another little break there, sorry. But yeah, like, the guys were great. Like, they weren't bad guys at all. But I just, it's like what I had felt at school, or what I was feeling at school, in the kind of uncomfortableness, um, that I felt with my classmates, that kind of crept into the rink. So that was like, that was hard, right? Feeling like that. So now it was like, all right, where I feel the best, it's not only at the rink, it's literally in the crease on the ice, like, because there I'm not talking to anyone, like, it's just me, I'm stopping the puck. So that's really what I kind of held on to, is like, you know so so then grade 11 and grade 12. So I know I've been kind of skipping through the years, fairly quick, but grade 11 and grade 12, so these last 2 years of high school were were rough for me mentally. It's I've had a lot of conversations with my parents, with my mom in particular, and with other people, and just throughout those 2 years of just like, you know what what's kind of the point, why am I doing this? So going back to when I started those goalie clinics, when I was younger, that feeling of why am I doing this, kind of came back, but in a definitely more serious sense, you could say, because the feeling of just not feeling right with my classmates, not feeling like I matter, or not feeling like, I'm anything more than just a goalie. Those thoughts, you know, clouded my mind and in my head for 2 years, and it was hard. It was hard to handle, and deal with. And there's not much difference in those 2 years. Like, there wasn't, other than the fact that obviously grade 11 was the first year of this high school team. I played for the Samet Carrefour Cougars. That's, for those of you who aren't French, like, that's Samet is the high school that I went to, and Carrefour was the other French high school in Dartmouth, our rival school, I guess, and we had actually combined to make one high school team to play against, the other high schools. So, those 2 years were, although they were probably my two best years, playing wise, like statistically and like feeling good in the net and stuff like that, they were my two worst years mentally, and just not feeling very good. So, I guess it it kind of boiled down to me feeling like, all I was. So it really kind of boiled down to me feeling like, I felt like being the goalie for the high school. Like this was the first year, or grade 11. This was the first year that we had ever had a high school team, and this was, I guess you could say, like the biggest team or the most popular team like we had because we had never, volleyball in our school was the big thing, but we had never had like a football team or a baseball team or sports like that. But we finally had a hockey team, like a team that we could compete against, the CPAs and the Citadels and Auburns and Cole Harbors and places like that. So anyway, so this was like a big thing, and it's still a big thing, for the school. Going into its third year now. But I was the starter. Like I was a starting goalie for the 2 years that I played. And like it quickly became, I don't want to say the talk of the school, but like it became well known in the school that like if there was a game, like people were talking about it. Like there was a buzz kind of in the school. Like if we had a game, guys would show up. We would all show up in like our suits, and people knew that like, oh boy, it's game day, like whatever, like who we playing, stuff like that. So there was always a buzz. So it quickly gained popularity. Granted, we were never that good, right? We I don't want to say we were never that good. We weren't good. We weren't a good team, right? And I'm sure if any of the guys who I've played with these last 2 years are listening, they'll agree that we just weren't that good of a team. We didn't have very many players to choose from, especially the first year, and we just weren't that great. We almost had more goalies try out than defensemen. Literally, like there was one year that we had 5 goalies try out, and I think every year we've had 5 goalies try out, and like we had like 7 defensemen try out. So like that's pretty funny, just because, whatever. But anyway, so all that to say, it gained popularity pretty quick, right? So me being the goalie, and I would get a lot of shots, right? Like I would get a very good amount of shots per game, and every game, like we'd always get outshot and whatever. But and I mean, it's not, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I was doing pretty well. Like we wouldn't win every game. We lose more than we win for sure, but instead of getting blown out all the time, like 10-0, we would maybe lose, like 4 or 5 to 1 or 2, and the shots would be totally lopsided. So for me, like I had confidence in myself, or I gained confidence in myself, like in net, because like I'm doing pretty well. I'm like holding my own against these guys, right? And so sorry, I'm just gonna take some water here. So my performances, like when I was doing well, like people would talk about it, or in the school, people would come and watch, right? Like teachers would watch, and students would come watch our games, and different parents would come watch our games and stuff, and I'd get talked to a lot by these people who, like students that, kids I go to school with that I never really talked to much, or I would talk to and just not really always feel comfortable with them, and always kind of put on a different, like when I'm talking to them, I'd kind of put on a happy face, I guess you could say. Excuse me. Oh man. Sorry, but yeah, like, so I get talked to a lot, and they, get told like, man, Eric, like, you're holding the team in it like every game, or you're doing really well. So that just, like, that's nice. It's obviously a compliment, but the more that happened, obviously it's nice to hear and stuff, but it really became a almost like a need for me, not to have these people come talk to me and stuff, but to have, I guess, people see me play, right? These kids that I went to school with, the teachers, for them to, I wanted everyone to come watch, right? And it sounds real selfish, but not in the way just because I wanted to see that I was good, but because I wanted people to see me do something that I love, right? Do something that, like, that's who I am, is I'm in the net. That's what I'm doing. And that's what I felt is when I'm in the net, like, that's me. This is as true a form as you could get of Eric, right? Like, this is what he does, this is what he loves, and this is who he is. So, I relied on that heavily these 2 years, like, just, banking on people coming to the game, and, like, just more so for myself, and feeling, like I said, like, that, like, this is me, right? Like, they're not just watching a game, it's like they're watching a kid who is expressing himself when, and they don't know that, they're just kind of watching the game. But for me, it's like, I'm expressing myself. I'm, basically for the first time, I'm really kind of being who I am, and you guys are seeing that, right? So, but the danger that comes with that is that, I rely on that so heavily that, if I didn't play well, maybe if I had a bad game, or maybe, that happens, it became so much, it played in my head over and over and over so much more than it should. And I couldn't let go of a bad goal, or a bad performance, or, a bad stretch of games. Because I was like, I started to rely on that, in the sense that it's like, this is why, and this is why I'm here. This is why I'm alive, is to do this. So when that becomes your sole purpose, it's scary, in the sense that, like, when basically, when that becomes your whole life, and this is what it is, like, this is where you get your happiness, this is where you get your feeling like you mean something, and it goes badly, or you don't play well, then you don't have anything to turn to, right? You don't have you don't feel like you have anything to turn to, and that's the danger. So, and that's really, what. So when that would go bad for me, it was like 10 times worse in my own head, because hockey, my one escape, my one, like, I don't have anything else, but I have this, the one thing that I got. Now that's going bad, then I found myself in a dark place. Because then going back to school, maybe people would talk about, oh man, the team didn't play well, or oh man, or I would feel like I would have the anxiety, or the stress, or the overthinking, that people would be like, man, like, what's going on with Eric? Like, they would blame me. And already you add that on top of the fact that already I just didn't feel like I was really able to communicate or talk and fit in kind of with the group of kids that I went to school with, like the people in my grade, the people in grade above me or grade below me. Like, I just couldn't, kids my age, I just couldn't mesh with, I felt like. And I know maybe a lot of people would tell you differently or whatever, but I put on a happy face a lot. I did. especially these last 2 years. And it wasn't easy waking up every day. I'll be honest with you, it wasn't. Waking up every day and for 6 hours in a day, and then more at the rink, or well, I should say 6 hours in a day before going to the rink. Just being something who I'm not. Like, I'd be counting down the hours, not because I wanted to go home so bad, and not even because I wanted to be at the rink so bad, but just like, because I was tired of being someone who I wasn't, or acting like someone who, I'm not. Like, I just, because, I don't really go to parties, or I don't, drink or smoke or do any of that. I'm not saying that, everyone did that, but, those things were kind of the base of what people would do, like at social events. And I just didn't do that stuff, and I still don't do that stuff really. And so not feeling okay with myself, because I just couldn't fit in, or I didn't feel like I fit in really, or felt comfortable enough with the people around me. It was just, I found myself in some very, very dark and horrible mindsets and mentalities, and to the point where I wondered, is it really worth being alive? And that became, I think, at its highest peak, or at its peak, I should say. It was the home opener. This, like, last year, my senior year, and I was the one who, at the time, I was on the student council, and I was really pushing hard for there to be, what do you guys call it in English? An assembly, or like a pep rally, for the hockey team, right? To promote the home opener against, CPA. This was the second year in a row that we were playing CPA, the big school, the 2-time Division 1 provincial champions. Second year in a row that we're playing them in our home opener, right? So, we're underdogs going in, but we just, I wanted so bad for us to win, sorry, and I wanted so bad for everyone to come watch us play our hearts out and play this game. So, sorry. So we had, anyway, I there was a lot of effort put into this home opener or the pep rally and the home opener itself. Like, so much went into it and organizing it and whatever. So, it's, so I really felt like a big part of the reason why people came, or I was one of the reasons, just because I was promoting this so much, and I was like putting the effort in, along with everyone else on the student council. They did such a great job at promoting that and like helping me with organizing stuff, and they did a huge part. Everyone on that student council was unreal. Like, they did such a good job, even maybe if they didn't want to, but they did. It was awesome. But anyway, so I say all this because finally, we get to the game, and I'm in net, right? Like, okay, like I'm pumped and stuff, and you look up in the stands, and pretty much the whole school was there, right? Like, so many people were there, I remember, and like I had a lot of family that was there at that game, and I had, all these people that, like, you wouldn't typically think that they're hockey fans, right? But they're coming, they're supporting your team, right? And teachers and friends and family. Anyway, so Anyway, that game, we ended up losing 8-2 to CPA, and I was in net for all 8 goals, and I remember comforting words from my goalie coach, and he said, like, after the first period, it was 4-1, and I just said, like, I don't want to be taken out, or what should I do, or whatever, and he just told me, like, if I really thought it was your fault, I would have taken you out, or if I thought that maybe you weren't ready, I would have taken you out, but he kept me in there, so that gave me some confidence. But after that, I still gave up another 4 goals in the next period, and didn't give up one in the third, but still 8-2, and it was rough. And I remember just I remember going back, or I remember the drive home, and I didn't say much. I just kind of sat there, and I wanted to scream, I wanted to yell and break something, but I didn't, obviously. But I remember going home and put my gear away, and really thinking that that was going to be my last night. That was going to be my last time on the ice, and that was going to be my last time in my house. And because I wasn't I didn't really want to be alive anymore. Anyway, so that was rough, and that I remember talking to my mom and just my sister as well, and my brother, and the amount of times that I've broke down and cried and just kind of pleaded for things to get better, right? And things didn't get better right away, right? Like, I'm not gonna say that they did, because they didn't right away, but it's with the help of your family, and it's with the help of my family and my teammates as well, like that they helped me push through and get to the next game and get to the next practice, and keep pushing and keep doing well. And even though it wasn't always easy, and it's still sometimes, some days it's just not easy to wake up and to put effort in, and feeling like you're not getting anywhere. But it's it's because of them that I'm here still, and that I now I'm on the junior B team, right? So it's through those bad times that you have to so much, like, not just rely, but you have to be close and stay close to the people that you care about and that care about you. And if that's hard to find, like, you gotta trust that your family that you're with, like, you gotta, for me, with my mom, right? My dad, I just didn't talk to my dad much about this stuff, but I knew that he and my mom both were so, would help me so much, and I love them dearly, both of them, and my whole family. Like, I'm blessed to have a family as supportive and as understanding, and as mine, and I all credit to them, because I really don't know how I'd be as a person, or even if I'd be here without them, without their love and support. But all that to say, just like, there are dark times that happen, right? But it's staying close with your family, and it's talking, right? You have to talk to your family, and to your friend, and not necessarily to your friends, but to people who are gonna help you, right? Whether it's the doctor, or the psychologist or the therapist, whoever it may be, that sit down and talk with them, just to have a conversation, and to be told like you're not alone, right? Like that's something that you hear all the times. Oh, you're not alone. Well, hey, don't worry. Like we're in this together. You're not alone. It's like, but when you're in it, when you're the person that's being told this, it's not always easy to accept that, or to feel like that's true. It's not easy. And I know for me, it wasn't easy at all. And it took a lot for me to actually, make this recording, and to actually get the balls to talk to a therapist. Not that, and I'm still fighting. I'm still going. I'm still struggling sometimes, and working through it, but you work at it every day, and it's hard sometimes, but little by little you push through, you power through, with help, right? Not by yourself, with help, with people, through conversation, through tears and screaming sometimes, but you push through with the support, and you'll make it. You'll get there, right? You'll get to a happier place. It will happen, right? It will. And it's not always easy to know that, or to feel like that's true, but I promise that it is. And even though that I might not be there yet, I know and I have faith that it will happen. Like I will get out of this, right? And it's getting a lot better. I think about just even a year ago. Like I think, what are we today? The 29th. The 29th, it was October 26th was the home opener. So it was, just like 3 days over a year ago that I was at my lowest point. And I've had low points since, right? I've had low points last week. But like those are gonna happen. But it's with support and progression, and fighting through it, and not just fighting through it by yourself, but with people, and trying to speak up as best you can, and let even one person like have a conversation, have a talk, say, hey, listen, like I gotta talk. I need to let some things out, some emotion out, some whatever it is, whatever it may be. That's the most important thing. And like for me, it's talking, like just talking. Sometimes I feel like I want to lash out or punch a wall or do whatever, but the best thing for me is just to talk. And I know not a lot of people are like that. Not a lot of guys especially are like that. But I love to just talk, and to just, in a safe environment, in a good environment, with people that you trust. Like I love just saying what's on my mind, and just talking. And that's a big reason why I'm doing this right now. And like I said way in the beginning, like I don't know if this is gonna progress into something more, like into a full-on, like, I don't know, podcast or anything. That'd be cool, but I'm not very keen on all that good stuff. I don't really know how to do all that, but just sitting down and having a chat and talking and having a conversation, heart-to-heart conversations I love, and those are so important. Those are gifts, and I firmly believe that those are gifts that not very many people take advantage of. And I think that that's something that, if anyone's listening that's feels kind of that they're in the same boat as I am, or maybe even if you don't, but if you just have, some sort of you feel like you're stuck or something, like talking and just saying kind of what's on your mind, even if it doesn't all make sense, or if it's just kind of jumbled up, and just kind of trying to just spit some stuff out, like that that is a huge, that's the first step, right? Like that's, to me, for me, like that was absolutely huge, and that's what has put me on the path to recovery, or to feeling, better, getting to that happy spot, right? Um, so yeah, I know I went on for, almost an hour now, and it went kind of from, good old happy years of hockey to okay, mental health, like darkness and whatever, but it's just a weird time that I've had. It's weird, and high school wasn't always fun for me, and there's so much more to kind of talk about, and there's always going to be more to talk about, and everyone, right, like everyone has more things that they want to talk about, or go more in depth on something, and myself included, like, I could go in depth on way more, but that this is kind of a good summary, I guess, or explanation of the gist of kind of what I've gone through, and it just basically, like, I the big takeaway from this is, for not only athletes but everyone in general, like everyone who has or who feels like they're not, maybe they don't fit in, or maybe they don't feel right, or they're trying to be someone that they're not, or anything, like, a big thing, and again, like, conversation and talking. I can't stress it enough of how important that is, and how much that is a gift that not very many people take advantage of, or not enough people take advantage of, I should say, because being able to just communicate your feelings, even though maybe it seems hard, or embarrassing, or stuff like that, it's such a beautiful gift that we have, of being able to just talk and communicate with people. So that needs to be taken advantage of, and just, no one's alone in fights like this, right? With mental health, or whether it be depression, like me, and so many other people, right? Like, we hear it all the time, end the stigma, and it begins again with conversation. Like, you need to talk about it. But so that's really kind of all I got. That's, I guess you could say, a little bit of my story, of hockey, and mental health in hockey, and it wasn't all about mental health, maybe kind of towards the middle or the end, but just, again, just talking, right? I love to talk. I love to just share what I feel, and I wasn't always like that, and I definitely wasn't always like that with people my own age, like I said earlier, but I'm trying to be a bit more talkative, and being better at communicating when I'm feeling. So that's kind of all I got. I thank you guys for listening, and just talk, guys. Communicate. Talk as best you can. Talk as much as you can with those who you trust, or your family. Stay close to them, and it's worth it. It's a gift, and it's something that you got to take advantage of, right? So thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it, and I guess we'll see you out on the ice. See you guys.